Hey folks, for this monthly partner spotlight, I am talking with Anna from saas.group. Anna, what's up?
Hey, glad to be here.
How's the jet lag treating you?
Oh, so well, so well.
You are at a SaaS conference in Europe, correctly?
I'm
Currently?
at a tech conference, developer conference in Hamburg, yes, and it's 5 hours behind my usual time, so it's fun, but to be honest, I took a power nap just like an hour before, so.
Oh, that's good. I think that's a hack some people should implement. So Anna, just to put the basis of the conversation, you are representing today saas.group, and just explain to us what it is and what's your role at that company.
Sure, so I'm the head of growth. Pretty much the role is to make sure that we do anything to put ourselves on the map and
Okay.
to make sure that whenever a B2B SaaS founder is looking for an exit, thinking about an exit, we're kind of that brand that they are thinking about, like kind of, your household brand that you go to whenever you have a question about the exit or you want to actually sell the company. You just, email me, Dirk, Pavel, anybody on the M&A team, or even the founders, Team Toby, Ulrich, everyone's super responsive. So we acquire B2B SaaS companies, horizontal products, super nifty stuff, like something that most PEs are not interested in because they tend to be on the smaller side. So our sweet spot is like between $2 to $10 million in ARR. Super lean teams, founders, very prominent they are other technical founders who really like build the product, or, somebody who's really an advocate for what they're doing. We're really into, cultural alignment. So we love, we call them no asshole companies, right? When the culture is really nice and, you genuinely want to work with these people and, they get shit done and they value their product and their teams. And we try to operate that way as well. So we pride ourselves for being super founder friendly. So, the first question that we ask founders when they come to us is like, why you were selling? So because it's not because we're so curious, it's just because we can then tweak our terms to it, right? So why would we offer you a 2-year earn-out period, right? Staying with us, like, I don't know, coaching us, still developing the product, if you're burned out and you just want to get the cash and get out.
Yeah.
Right. And at the same time, if you have this in mind, like you want to stay, still love this baby, and you still cannot like detach yourself emotionally maybe from your team and you love what you're doing, then again, we want to make sure that we accommodate this and we have you on the team and you feel great and your team feels great, because again, we want to also retain the team, because, well, you've been growing it for so long, you got the best people, you know them, and they took the product and the company to the level where we got interested. So they were doing something right?
Gotcha.
So this is kind of our approach.
What you guys do. Okay, awesome. And for people who are listening to this going, hey, why is Frank talking in English to a lady in Europe about this whole thing? Let me give you the kind of the pitch for why we're doing this. So as a SaaS founder in Quebec, you have many forks in your road. You have many pathways about growth, but also about exiting, right? You can try to shoot for the moon and do an IPO and have a publicly traded company. And that's super hard, super risky, and a lot of work. And not a lot of people either can do that or want to do that. You can raise money and try to successfully close some funding rounds and then get acquired by a big player and have this like exit through an acquisition. Again, extremely risky. The success rates of VC portfolios is meh. And I don't think in Quebec we have like a particularly higher rate than normal for that. And then a ton of SaaS decide to bootstrap their companies and fund it themselves through sales or personal savings or sometimes small, early investments. And for all of those bootstrapped SaaS, one of the ways to de-risk yourself eventually is to sell the company, right? It's like how'd you say? It's just a natural order of things for many, many of these stories of SaaS. And I've lived through it, and it changed my life, literally. And I was able, with the wealth that I accumulated, to give back to the community, start a new company, and keep the kind of wheel of SaaS going in my ecosystem. But I'm not the only one, right? For people who haven't listened to the pod with Antoine Paré from Dash This, these folks are a success story from Quebec, from my hometown. On top of that, it's episode 99, and they have exited to a player, to SaaS.group, right? So for me, it's important that the founders, the SaaS founders in Quebec, understand all of the different ways they can exit and move on to the next thing and capitalize on all the wealth they created, but they haven't captured, right? So that's why you're here, to represent kind of this path of exit to a company, portfolio company. I don't think private equity is the right word to describe you guys, right? It's more
Not
of
really, no.
Like a portfolio company. Would that sound better? What do you think?
Yeah, like a holding.
A holding, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then again, it sounds a bit more corporate, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, we buy companies to hold them, right? That's our aspiration. Yeah. We want to buy companies to grow, to hold to them, and use the revenue that they generate to buy more companies. So we're kind of like a bootstrapped holding.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. No, I love the model. And so take me through a little bit of history, like who founded the group, when, how many companies were acquired in that time frame. I want to know more.
Sure. So initially, the company was founded by Tim Schumacher, and maybe some of you have heard of him. So Cedo.com, I think maybe even now, but at some point, definitely the biggest marketplace for domain names. That was the company that he created. And then he also founded IO, the company behind Adblock. Again, so many folks have used it. And he exited 2 companies, and basically he used his money at first to buy the first 2 companies to kind of like validate the idea and to see what works and what doesn't, because at some point he realized that, hey, building companies is great, but I kind of enjoy taking them from that initial stage of some success to the next level. So this is where kind of the idea was born. And then he was joined by Toby Schlotke and Ulrich Hessman. So there were 3 co-founders. They're all very hands-on guys. So all of them had their companies. I mean, now I'm at the conference, the Toby's conference, the tech conference, super nerdy stuff. Like he's the CTO too. So we got it all covered, right? We got Tim, who's like very much a financial guy, so like he sees success, he smells it. We got Ulrich, who's super operational, and Toby's the tech guy. He will understand you if you're a tech founder. Talk to him. He speaks your language. So that's kind of the.
What's the time frame for all of that adventure? Like founding year and maybe the companies acquired in terms of the number of companies.
Yeah, so we were founded 5 years ago, and the first couple of years were really kind of slow. Yeah, just validating, trying to see where we fit. And then I joined almost 2 years ago, and I think at that point we had about 9 companies. Nice. And then we doubled in 1 year, and now we're 22 brands. Okay, amazing. So yeah. We're growing.
And these companies you have one in Quebec, like we mentioned, you have some in Europe, and you're not geographically limited. Is that a correct assumption?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're not really right now buying in Australia or in South America. Like we have to be mindful of like who the customers we're serving and like where the teams are too. But at the same time, we're fully remote. Like I live in Vietnam, right? No one really cares where I am as long as, you're doing your job well. So yeah, in terms of geography. Okay. I mean, yeah.
What is, I'm curious, you mentioned something earlier. You said we're looking to acquire companies, SaaS companies that are horizontal And I think you said over 2 million in ARR. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so let's dig into the horizontal for maybe people who are maybe less savvy about SaaS or whatever, but
Yeah.
by horizontal, what exactly do you mean? And does it really exclude vertical plays?
Well, at this point, I would rather say yes than no, right? We would rather just not go into, like if you're in a very, very small niche, like really vertical software, I think there are better players for you out there.
Gotcha.
But because again, taking into account like the experience that we have and, you know, the portfolio that we have, we know how to scale horizontal companies. We prefer to have a bit of a larger market. So the thesis is like this right now.
Explain what horizontal means for you guys.
Basically that, you know, any business out there can use you.
Yeah. So, for instance, I'm thinking about a player that was on your podcast that I introduced to you, Missive, right?
Yeah.
They do email collaboration and productivity for any type of teams, whether you're in transportation, software, lawyers, whatever. That's the horizontal, right? Any kind of market can use that software and take value from it.
I mean, as a marketer, it pains me to say, like, we buy companies that, you know, build product for everybody, but it's kind of true.
All right. So do you have a few examples of SaaS companies you've bought that could, like, put a reference in the minds of people listening to this?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, you already mentioned This, right? They're absolutely amazing. I mean, like I mentioned, we're so focused on, you know, cultural alignment. Just do you want me to start again?
No, that's fine. That's the alignment of culture right there. Let's keep going.
That's true. Yeah. They're clean enough after the conference, so, you know, get out, guys.
That's all good.
So This guys are amazing. You know, they really fit in, and you know. A couple more companies that maybe your audience might know as well. Rewardful, they're an affiliate marketing platform, and they're doing an incredible job. I mean, they serve super big players like Podia, and you know, we absolutely love them. And again, they started growing a lot with us, and we're like super excited for what they've been doing with us. Because cool. I don't know if I mentioned that, but we do buy companies, we do hold them, we do grow them, but they are independent. They still are capped as, you know, independent brands, and they run themselves, right? So it's still being under this umbrella and having this enormous support from the group, but also remaining an independent company and kind of still making their own decisions. And
it is not. That's one of the things I like, is that it is not an extension of the essence or the brand or the name of the company. No, it's like a continuation with more support. Basically, that's how I'm getting it.
Yeah, in a nutshell, I think that is a great way to put it. Like we do absolutely encourage, you know, learning from each other, knowledge sharing, all kinds of, you know. We had a product camp just earlier this week when all the product people from every brand from the central team, they came together. Nice. They shared their knowledge. Like, it's super interesting for them too, because I mean, no matter how great of an expert you are, there will always be something new. So having, you know, such a portfolio of brands with different experiences coming together, I mean, Yeah, that's an advantage for sure. So, okay, you are the head of growth. You introduced us briefly to the three kind of founders of the holding group. What other types of players are involved in running SaaS Group? Like, who's on staff? Yeah. Right. So SaaS Group, we call it the central team, right? So we got all kinds of departments, again, not to sound too corporate, but obviously we've got an amazing M&A team. So they're the ones that are going to work with you if you're selling to SaaS Group, or even if you want to just learn about exiting. I mean, reach out. The guys are not going to hold you up to it, right? They're just going to talk and explain how everything works. Like I said, like for example, we're going to launch that M&A course for sellers, and it's not about selling to SaaS Group. It's just about selling. Like we understand that there are other players, and sometimes you're selling a vertical software, sometimes you're smaller than we would buy, sometimes you're too big for us. So we just want to be sharing that knowledge with you and like really provide value to the founders. So yeah, M&A team, obviously, then we got central marketing team, which is the biggest team, product, finance, HR, and we usually kind of also take HR and finance away, like centralize. It's pretty much the only thing that we centralize for companies, because usually, founders are not also the biggest fans of like P&Ls and stuff. So we make sure that we have those documents, but we don't take you away from building your product. So you focus on the business, we'll take care of the rest.
And if people want a concrete example of like what that central agency, that central more marketing agency can do for a SaaS that got acquired by SaaS Group, Antoine talks at length about it towards the end of the pod, the 99 episode. So I just encourage people to go and look at that. So my question is more practical, the next one, but like the acquisition process, like that's something that can be intimidating. We talked about it when I was on your pod, actually. Which was super interesting. I don't remember the episode number, but people can Google François Lantinado, SaaS Group, whatever. What is the typical length of an acquisition process if I'm a founder selling to SaaS Group?
Yeah. So, well, my favorite answer, it depends, right? Sometimes, like if we're talking about like from the first call to signing the deal, sometimes it takes 2 years, right? Because like we can make an offer, and it just takes the founder some time to get to this decision and to understand, like, yes, this is going to work a bit differently. Like I want to take the chips off the table maybe, or I want to spend, time with my family or whatever it is, but I need time to get there. So sometimes that takes longer. But if we're talking like, hey, we found you, we think you're awesome, let's have a call. We'll tell you roughly already on this call what you can expect from us, even like valuation wise. And if you think this is worth going forward with, then, well, I think this summer we closed 3 deals in 2 months. So it can be really fast.
It can go quickly, but there's also a level of preparedness and readiness in the psychology of the founder, right? It's not always like you said, depends on where they're at in the process. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. It's good to know that it can move fast. I think that's one of the stoppers sometimes from people. They're like, hey, I don't want to be involved in like something that's dragging and withdrawing all of my energy, but it doesn't appear to be the case.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, of course, there is on the website, you will see like we reply to you in 24 hours, and 48 hours you will get your first documents, right, and valuation and stuff. And sometimes it's an overpromise, like I have to be honest with you, right? But it's kind of giving you the direction, like this is one of our values. We want it to be fast, and we want to really like make it simple and easy. And yes, of course, there are lawyers involved, and we work with this amazing company that does technical DD for us. But still, we try to make sure that if you want to exit fast, we can make it happen.
Gotcha. And then once the company is acquired, the share purchase agreement or whatever the format of the final transaction is, once that's done, what is the reality for founders post acquisition? Like, is it always the same? Does it vary a lot? Can you tell me about this? I
mean, again, being completely honest with you, we're still working on like putting more processes into it. Mm-hmm. But again, having acquired 22 companies already, we do know what we're doing. So usually the processes are the same, right? You tell your team that you sold the company, and then we go into integration. So we make sure that we tell you very honestly, and your team as well, like where we think it can be optimized, And we don't pressure anybody to act on this, right? Or at least act on everything that we're saying. It's, again, the brand remains independent, so it's your decision. And you decide like what's going on. But obviously there are like tools that we switch them to, because it just makes it easier for us to integrate. We call it the paved road, because, we are growing, and, having certain metrics running on, the same tools and coming out from the same sources just makes sense, because, you have to get to a process at some point. But otherwise, we're doing a really meticulous job like integrating the teams, because, like I said, of course, like we want to get the companies that are aligned with us culturally. But it's obviously not 100% the same, right? So we want to make sure that they feel like they belong, that they feel like they know who they can talk to, because like the central team is fairly big. I think we're 60 people now. So as a product person, who can you talk to at the product team? Who do you go to? Who can help you with a certain task? So we really try to coach them, teach them about SaaS Group. We have different videos, podcasts, blog posts that we share with the teams. And like HR team is doing an incredible job just talking to people, basically, because that's what we're about, honestly, like just building trust, building relationships.
So it sounds like if the trajectory of the founder is to keep building the business and de-risking themselves and getting acquired by you folks, there's a lot of like support and like a community and even professionals that they can have access to keep scaling their SaaS. So that's pretty cool. My question is then, what about the founders that like psychologically they're at the place where they're like, hey, I want a GTFO, I want to get out. Like, is that something that you folks can accommodate sometimes, or?
Absolutely. We had the cases when they wanted to just get out, get the cash, and start their new thing. It's totally normal. I mean, it does affect valuation a little bit, obviously, because it's good for us if the founder stays at least for some time, because we got the the brain behind the product and the company. But that said, it's still possible, and it's still very fair.
Okay, so I think we laid the basics, like the groundwork is done. Like people get a clearer idea, but getting acquired is not like a simple or easy decision. There's a lot of like questions that will remain after even listening to our conversation. So where can founders go to learn more, get in contact with you folks? Where are we directing them?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, if you actually want to have a conversation, go to LinkedIn, find me, or, Dirk Salmer, Pavel Prokofiev. It's also very easy with emails. It's Anna at saas.group, Dirk at saas.group, Pavel at saas.group. We're all very approachable and easy to find. Go to our website. Everything's there. It's pretty simple. We got lots of blog posts about due diligence process. And there's also a page which is called Academy under the resources. And those are our AMA sessions that we have with SaaS experts. And they're mostly about due diligence again, or, some specific challenges that we've heard SaaS founders have. So it's really in-depth and cool conversations. We usually have someone from our central team join an external expert. So nice. Go check it out. I think it will bring a lot more clarity. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
To the process.
And if you reach out directly to the team or like through the website or whatever, and you've heard about SaaS Group from SaaSpasse, just make sure you mention Frank and SaaSpasse. I'm putting my marketer hat on. But listen, I think it's just a great opportunity for SaaS founders who are at that crossroad in their journey. And having had one conversation with you, but also an in-depth conversation with Stéphane and Antoine from Dash This, I I wouldn't be like talking with you folks and promoting that avenue if I didn't have faith in it. So it's pretty cool, honestly, Hannah. I'm stoked that you took the time to chat with me, that we're doing this together. Let's see where that leads us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the trust, and hopefully see you soon.
Yes, hopefully in real life next year.